So the article I chose to do a quick video on for the Unit 1 discussion is titled Information Technology in Agriculture, Global Challenges and Opportunities. And at the bottom of this title page, you guys can see the actual APA format. So if you wanted to look the article up, you can. And I'll post in the actual upload, I'll post the link to the article if you did want to read it for additional information. So what's the main thrust of this particular journal article? Well, I think it's quite evident. The world population, as all of us know, is expanding at a very fast rate. The article actually mentions that we're going to increase the world population by 9 billion people over the next 40 years. So that's an increase of our currently that's about 1/3 of the population we have right now is what we're going to add within 40 years. So what does that mean? That means people are expanding across the globe, and essentially we're building more homes, more infrastructure, more commercial stuff, and we're getting rid of the land that we're actually using for farming. And so that requires, if we're growing the people and decreasing the land, that requires us to be able to find ways to be more efficient with producing farm products, such as, crop yields. So we have to increase our agricultural productivity. So if you think about agriculture from a historical standpoint, historically, we got more efficient with agriculture because we developed machinery that did the farming for us. Now, however, as what they allude to in this article, the new way to be able to increase our agricultural productivity is through the use of information technology on a global scale. And in the next few charts, I'll kind of briefly go over what some of that entails. So the authors of this article basically state there are 5 main agricultural challenges for us on this earth right now. First and foremost, we have variability in the fields, in the weather patterns that are around us, as well as certain other things. But if you think locally where you live, I don't know about you guys, but where I live, the weather patterns change frequently. It seems like we've had a very wet summer, but other parts of the United States have been very, very dry. And so that changes the usefulness of the soil, etc., etc. And so crop yields aren't always as good from one year to the next, and they're certainly not as consistent as they've always been. The second main challenge is unanticipated and disastrous weather occurrences. So what we're talking about here are the extreme weather events that seem to be more problematic than they used to be, and certainly more common. Tornadoes, hurricanes, flash flooding, things of that sort. Large geospatial dispersion. And then the fourth one is security and safety requirements. All they're talking about here is that they want safety in the food produced, which can be hard to do, especially with the changing climate. We also want safety and security with the workers who farm the land. That's a challenge. In other words, producing, for example, equipment that's safe to use. And then we also have as a main challenge, we actually have constraints. If you think about this from an operations research problem, we only have so much available land. The earth can't get bigger. In fact, when it comes to the land, we're actually taking away from it with the growing population. So one main constraint with agriculture is that the land is quite limited. It's disappearing and going away. And even if we didn't expand across farmland to build new houses and new neighborhoods and stuff, we still have a physical, mathematical, limited quantity of land that's available. Okay, so moving on to the next chart, the article likes to point out that we can really think of IT and agriculture kind of as we think of a supply chain. So if you look at this particular chart, if you think about what's at the top, we talk about the pre-field, the in-field, and the post-field. So the pre-field is before you actually put crop in the field, before you actually plant seeds. In-field is when you've actually got stuff planted. Post-field is when you actually harvest your product. Typically, that's September, October, something like that, where you take the corn down and you take it to the local grain mill and you sell it or whatever. So how does IT tie into that? This figure tries to allude to that. So in the pre-field status, we can use data mining techniques, high-performance computing. We do genetic modeling and simulation. Bioinformatics is getting popular nowadays. During the in-field aspect, when the actual plants are in the ground and growing, IT can be implemented on the actual equipment. For example, sensors on the farm equipment. If you look at a big John Deere tractor or combine nowadays, they typically have various types of sensors on them. We use GIS, geo satellites, so we can maximize how we plant. We use machine automation. And then in the post-field aspect, of course, we have sensing once again. And we also have optimization modeling, decision support systems in place that can help us make better decisions with how to maximize the crop product that we can grow. So what are some of the opportunities from IT? Some of these I've alluded to a little bit already, but just to sum them up into three main categories, IT can provide in the agricultural industry additional ways to better gather info. Like I said already, physical sensors on the combines, moisture sensors is one good example of a physical sensor. We use remote sensing, we use biological sensing, information processing. We can take all that data we've collected from the sensors and we can do essentially statistics on them. Data analytics, data mining, data visualization, predictive analytics, those are all fields of interest related to being able to process and take the data and make it into something meaningful, so that in the third main opportunity here, we can actually make a decision with it. And I think this is important to answer this Unit 1 discussion. When we talk about globalization, the article spent a great deal of time talking about, okay, we can collect this data, we can process it, but where we really fail is not just making decisions locally, but on a global scale, because the world is becoming a smaller place. And companies, as they expand overseas, as they expand the land that they're farming, as countries interact with other countries, we need to be able to share the information we've collected to make this agriculture productivity more of a global effort. And so the article clearly alluded to the fact that we are not doing very good in this area. So just in quick summary, agriculture, like I said, is a critical human activity with growing importance. The population's getting much bigger on this planet. We need more food. And one of the key ways we can possibly solve this type of problem is through information technology, which is exactly what this class is all about. So I thought it was a really good article, very informative, and I'd encourage all of you guys to try to take a look at it if you get a chance. Thank you very much.